Welcome to the Latte podcast. Now settle in and get comfy as we have got drama to talk about. Now, the relationship between estate agents and solicitors has a history of being a little bit rocky, and here to spill the tea on the relationship, why it exists and how to fix it, is Mr. Roger Collings and Nithi. So Roger comes from the property industry. Now, Rog, you've worked in property for how many years now?
Just over 60.
Wow.
Started in 1965. Things have changed a lot in that time. Even the relationship between solicitors and estate agents has changed quite a lot in those days as well.
We're hoping that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I think it is generally, although, even in the early days, I had some quite good relationships with solicitors, but some perhaps less so. I think when you get to know a firm of solicitors, you know how they work, they know how you work. Obviously, the communication is much better. When you're starting out dealing with a firm that you've never dealt with before, they may be a little bit hesitant to spill the beans to you too much because they have their client's interest at heart. They don't necessarily know that you do the same, particularly if we're on. If I'm acting for the seller and they're acting for the buyer, it's slightly different.
Well, it's such a massive, it's such an important relationship within the conveyancing process. Probably the most important relationship is that one between solicitors and estate agents in terms of getting the deal across the line. So obviously we've got Nithi here from the legal side. She deals with a lot of exchanges and completions and estate agents. So I'm going to give you both a couple of questions. So starting with Rog, in your 60 years of property experience, what would you say are some of the main frustrations you've had with working with solicitors?
Communication problems. It all comes down to communication. Sometimes we have a very good relationship with a solicitor who will naturally keep us informed with what the progress is. Every time they communicate with their client, they'll often copy us in as well. Obviously they need their client's consent to do that, but that's usually easy enough to get, and that really helps where we know exactly what the situation is. If there's a problem, it's better if they tell us, because sometimes we can help resolve that problem. There are sometimes we've seen the property, they haven't.
Right.
And so, if there's something perhaps with the title plan that they can't quite make out, if they come back to us, then sometimes we can give the answer that then satisfies them. It may not. But
solicitors, get copying in those estate agents and you could speed things up. Now, Nithi, going to give you a chance to answer the same question, and thank you so much for your answer. I think that was very insightful. So Nithi, what sort of frustrations have you had on the other side of the fence? What would you say some of your frustrations as a solicitor are with working with the estate agent in trying to get a deal over the line?
I think it's most of the time we feel like sometimes, because we get calls and emails regularly, we
feel like you're being chased
a lot. And I mean, no disrespect, we do understand that they have to do their part of the thing, but it's just like sometimes we don't know what's happening. We're just going around with a lot of things. We just, as they said, title issues, the title plan issues, legal issues and everything. So we're trying to understand and wrap things up, and at that time it becomes a bit frustrating. But at the same time, as I said, we do try to give response, but also I know a lot of solicitors, including me, we do say that, we'll give them a call back and we'll get back to them, and we don't. So we understand that frustration, but it's also because we don't have a choice at that time. So that's the thing. You
guys have kind of brought up something actually that I've heard a few times in gossip circles around property, around estate agents and solicitors, is that, would you say that there's a clash in priorities, in the sense that estate agents are quite keen in getting the deal over the line quite quickly, whereas solicitors have all the paperwork to do, so it can be a bit more of a tedious process? So you've got the estate agents perhaps trying to, rightly so, get the deal done as quickly as possible, but then you have the solicitor that's got quite a lot of due diligence to do, which is a little bit more, it takes more time and can't give the immediate answers that perhaps the estate agents want. What would you say about that, Rich?
I don't necessarily think that it's the estate agent who wants to get it over the line quickly. We're often the same as the solicitor under pressure from our clients. Our client may say, I want to be in by such and such a date because my children are starting school then. Now, then we need to try and find a solution to help them do that. It may or may not be possible. It also depends whether we're dealing with what we call a closed sale, where it's a buyer and a seller and that's it, or whether there's a long chain of events. And if there's a long chain of events and there are several agents and solicitors and buyers all the way down the line, we can often jump, whereas the solicitor can't. The solicitor can only really deal with their buyer or their seller's solicitor. We can then speak to the agent below us, the agent below them. We don't have any problems doing that. So if we know that there's a problem down the line, we can sometimes help where the solicitor can't.
That's a fair point. And I think, like, because you said you feel like you're being chased, and then it feels like there's a lot of chasing going on that perhaps the solicitors don't see the other chasing that's going on from the agent with regards to the client. And like you say, if there's a chain, so there's a lot of sort of chasing each other.
I think one of the other problems that I've seen a lot over the years is that in our industry in particular, we have quite a lot of young, inexperienced people who don't really understand our process properly, let alone the legal process. And they get on the phone to the solicitor because their client has perhaps chased them. They get onto the phone to the solicitor, they haven't a clue what they're asking. And the solicitor then gets frustrated with them and then your company because they see you as the company.
Eager beavers.
And you know, they might be quite good at actually selling the property, but dealing with the process of the sale, it takes time to learn that.
60 years actually.
Well, and I'm still learning.
Great
because
attitude.
things change all the time. Legislation's changing all the time, and I'm sure solicitors, you know, they've got all kinds of problems these days with the new Decent Homes Act.
Oh shit, this one's studying all the time, So Nithi, coming back to you, what do you think of the clash of priority between solicitors and estate agents? Do you ever feel like there's a clash, like you're trying to do one thing and the estate agents doing another?
I don't think there's a clash of priority, because end of the day both of us want the same result, to complete the matter and give our clients the best this thing. So I don't think the clash of interest per se is there. It's just the process sometimes might not take the time which we are expecting. Sometimes we think it can be done in 4 weeks or 6 weeks. If it's a freehold, you always assume that it's like maybe 6 weeks, hardly, like, you know, because it might not be. But then when there are no building regulation certificates, when there are issues about all of that, that's when the problem starts. And that's when we don't know where to get along, and insurance, getting indemnity, all of that. That's the problem. That is when, otherwise I don't think the clash per se is there. It's just the result. Both of us want the same result.
Okay, well that's a nice way to find some common ground here, is so you both want the same result. So I'm going to ask you a final question. So, Roger, what do you think are the keys to, do you see what I've done there, the keys to a healthier relationship between estate agents and solicitors, and to make peace in the relationship going forward?
I think peace is perhaps the wrong word. I don't think there's any war between us. As Nithi said, you know, we both want the same result. We want our clients to be happy and
But this is a podcast, Roger, and we are trying to add the drama.
No, I do understand. I do understand. I think that it all comes down to communication. Now, when you start a process, perhaps with a new firm of solicitors you've not dealt with before, it might be a good idea if the solicitor gives us some boundaries. In other words, I mean, I had a solicitor I used to deal with 40 odd years ago, and he used to be blocked off in his office every morning for 2 hours. He wouldn't speak to anybody for those 2 hours because he was studying documentation. You know, you can't look at a contract or a lease or whatever it is and keep taking phone calls. You need a bit of peace and quiet. So we knew never to bother him at that time, and he wouldn't answer a call if you called anyway. And so I think if the solicitor said to us, look, I'm available that hour of the day. If you want to speak to me and it's urgent, that hour. If it's not urgent, just send me an email and I'll get back to you with the answer as quickly as possible. That's, I think, probably the best way of dealing with it.
Wise
it's
words.
Having some form of system where you've got boundaries.
Very wise words. And
I do agree.
I love this. I love the fact
that's actually really like, that's a good thing, because if we set the boundaries, if we tell them 2 to 4 is the time when we can talk to you or something like that, or we will give you a weekly update or something, if we keep them in the loop, they don't have to do that part as well, and so there's no frustration. We can work peacefully, and end of the day, if we keep estate agents happy, they are going to help us as well, bring in clients. So you know,
I love that. I feel the peace emanating from both of you, so I feel like this has been a very peaceful podcast.
Not what you were expecting.
I was expecting some beef, some drama. Here we are. We've had a lovely peaceful episode. Now, to finish the podcast, I'm going to ask a sign of peace. I'm going to ask you both to shake hands.
Oh, well, that's no problem at all. Very nice.
So, just like that, we have improved the relationship between estate agents and solicitors, and I feel like this has been a great episode. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you both for joining today, and see you next week for another exciting instalment of Legal Life.
Thank you.